Welcome back, everybody. You are watching the Now Morning Show right here on TTT. We're also on Talk City 91.1 FM and streaming live on Facebook at TTT Live Online. So it's Monday. We are back on with Therapy Works, and this morning with me, it's Robin Edwards, who we haven't seen in a long time.
I know. I have not been here in a while. I'm so happy to be back,
I'm so
though.
happy to have you back, definitely.
It's like coming home.
Right. So this morning, the topic is on mental health and developmental and neurological disabilities.
Yeah,
Big topic.
so it's kind of a big and a heavy topic, and I wanted to touch on it this week because of the news recently with the 69 people rescued from Aruka.
Right.
And October 10th was World Mental Health Awareness Day. So it's a fitting topic for the month.
Definitely.
Right? So basically, it is estimated, and these numbers are from 2008, anywhere from 15 to 20% of children in Trinidad and Tobago suffer from a disability. That adds up to about 50 to 60,000 individuals.
In Trinidad,
and Tobago,
wow.
Right? It's a lot. And the idea is that these kids are growing up to be adults. What are we doing? This whole segment that I'm talking about is a lot of questions. What are we doing? What are we doing to help these adults?
The first question is, how do we go about getting early diagnosis?
Right. And we've targeted that a lot in past segments. But because of mental health, what I wanted to talk about today is the fact that many of these diagnoses, like autism, Down syndrome, cerebral palsy, they have a higher prevalence of mental health and mental illness associated with these diagnoses.
Right.
So parents are not just dealing with an individual diagnosis. There are many co-occurring things that are happening with these individuals. Yeah.
Right.
So I have some numbers for you, if you will allow me to read. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, please do.
So, a study was done on people diagnosed with autism and the prevalence of other mental health conditions. Things like obsessive compulsive disorder. It occurs at 9%, at a prevalence of 9% within individuals with autism. In the neurotypical world, it's 1.2%. It's a big difference, right? Attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, 28% within people with autism, 11% in the neurotypical world. Things like bipolar and related disorders, schizophrenia and psychosis. Schizophrenia is at 4% within the autistic world, but 1% within the neurotypical world. These are stark differences. I mean, and I could go on, right? Depressive disorders. Depressive disorders occur 4 times, or occur at a rate of 4 times more than in the neurotypical world.
Okay.
Right? So, as important as it is for early intervention, for therapy, for all these pieces, and it really, really is, it's important to look at the future for these individuals. What else is happening? So I want to recognize Down Syndrome Family Network, because they're doing a great job at bringing inclusion into the front line in Trinidad, helping people to understand why that's important. They've also done a great job at starting some vocational training and some job training. Immortal's Center for Children with Special Needs also has a vocational program. Because I think a lot of these disorders, a lot of this mental health stuff, it comes from a lack of purpose. It comes from the fact that after school, our young adults have nothing else.
Right.
What do they do? Where do they go?
How do they occupy that time?
Yeah, and you know, I forget who said it, but a life lived without purpose is meaningless, you know? So they're homebound, they're bored. Of course the anxiety, depression, paranoia, those things are gonna grow.
Right.
Yeah, they're gonna compound, you know? So what else? So yes, Immortal and Down Syndrome Family Network, they're really doing their part, but we need more.
Right.
We need vocational programs, we need day programs, job coaches, supportive employment, you know, to help these individuals become functioning members of our society and not just relegate them to the background.
Right.
It's not what they deserve, you know. There's so many stories. I mean, I'm going on and on. But there's so many stories about children and young people getting with autism
Right.
or with Down syndrome getting dropped off at Mount Hope or St. Anne's. That's not appropriate for them. That's not where they're supposed to be. The families drop them off there because they are overwhelmed. They do not know what to do.
So the question is, where does the education for the families start, and how do they get more access to this information?
Access to support.
And the bigger question, should there be, and we all know the obvious answer, should there be more avenues by which there is support for these families provided on a wider scale?
Yeah, so much more. I was researching this topic today and I came across this word Ubuntu. Have you heard of it?
It sounds familiar.
So in South Africa, it's a humanistic philosophy, and it talks, it's loosely diagnosed as, I'll tell you, I am because we are.
Right.
And the essence of it is if I lift others up, I lift myself up. If I diminish others, I diminish myself.
So moving forward, and a nice way to end this conversation, of course, you'll be back with us next week, lifting ourselves up to lift others up as well.
Yeah.
And, the conversation needs to continue. And not only the conversation, but plans implemented to ensure that this segment of society is not left behind.
Yeah.
All right, I want to thank you so much, Robin Edwards, for joining us this morning. We'll continue this conversation next week. For now, though, we're going to take a short break and come right back. Stay with us.